The greatest player of a generation is playing for the Angels. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighs in at about 235 pounds. He's a former Rookie of the Year and 3-time Most Valuable Player, although it's widely agreed upon that he could have as many as 5 or 6 MVP trophies in his mantle case. One of the most feared hitters in the game, he's also noted for his superb glove work, which has netted him a pair of gold gloves to complement his 2 World Series rings. Oh, you thought I was talking about that Angel. Yeah, he's pretty good too, but I'm talking about the greatest hitter of all time, the Machine. The most electrifying hitter to ever pick up a bat. The perfect combination of power and contact with the ability to drive in runs when his team needs him to. Albert Pujols has been a superstar ever since he broke into the league in 2001 and has rewritten the record books along the way. Nowadays, we only check in with Pujols when he's making history and tend to forget just how dominant he was to begin his career. He's arguably the best pure hitter of all time, and we should appreciate him before he's gone. The legend of Albert Pujols begins in the city of Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic, where he was born and raised. Santo Domingo is a hotspot for baseball talent, producing Pujols, Adrian Beltre, and Manny Ramirez, just to name a few. At the age of 16, Pujols, along with his father and grandmother, emigrated from the Dominican Republic to New York City, but their stay in the Big Apple wouldn't last too long. After Albert witnessed a shooting shortly after their arrival, they packed up and moved to Independence, Missouri just 2 months after arriving in New York to live with family who had settled there. Pujols enrolled in Fort Osage High School in Independence and immediately made an impact on the field. During his junior year in 1997, Pujols led the club to the Missouri State Championship while playing shortstop. His high school stats were not that well kept, but local newspapers reported that he hit close to 500 with at least 11 homers and 32 ribbies. His stats for his summer Legion Ball team, however, were very well kept. In the summer of '97, Pujols' Legion team played a 60-game schedule in which he hit 29 home runs and drove in 119 RBIs. That's nearly a 2 RBI a game average for the entire summer. Not only did this incredible season put Pujols on a lot of draft boards, but his high school opponents also took notice. His poor grades, mainly due to the fact that he was still struggling to grasp the English language, got Pujols another year of eligibility. So 1998 was Pujols' second junior season at Fort Osage, and it was significantly better than his first. He hit an incredible .660 while drawing 55 intentional walks and only belting 8 home runs, due to the fact that most teams didn't bother pitching to him. I mean, look at this guy in high school. He was looking like Carlos in the Benchwarmers while dominating high school baseball in Missouri. Pujols played Legion Ball again in the summer of '98, and boy, he didn't disappoint. He hit .593 with 34 dingers and 124 RBIs in another 60-game season, taking home a second consecutive Player of the Year honor. In early 1999, Pujols graduated early from high school and enrolled in nearby Maple Woods Community College with the hopes that he would be drafted early. In his only season at Maple Woods, Pujols hit a staggering .461 with 22 home runs and 80 RBIs as the club's shortstop. His college coach called him the best hitter I've ever coached or ever seen. Someone else also thought that Pujols was an otherworldly talent. Tampa Bay Devil Rays scout Fernando Arango. Arango was the Rays' Midwestern scout and began hearing rumors about some kid who was demolishing baseballs and had to go check him out. After watching Pujols for a few games, Arango declared him as the best hitter he's ever seen and projected him to hit .280 to .290 with 40 home runs at the major league level. He also compared Pujols' approach and talent level to Lou Gehrig. In hindsight, that comparison is spot on. But at the time, to compare a first-year JUCO player to one of the greatest hitters of all time was an incredibly bold prediction. The Devil Rays had the first overall pick at the '99 draft, and Arango knew that they weren't going to take Pujols first overall. He did think, however, that they would be able to snag him within the first 5 rounds of the draft. As each round passed and Pujols remained undrafted, Arango became more and more enraged. Pujols eventually fell to the 13th round and was selected 402nd overall by the St. Louis Cardinals. Arango became so upset that the Devil Rays ignored his advice and refused to draft Pujols that he eventually quit his job. But after draft day in 1999, Pujols' professional baseball career started as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Some of the younger baseball fans only remember Albert Pujols as the aging angel, the old dude who hits behind Mike Trout and the shell of the former superstar he once was, and not the absolute beast he was in St. Louis. That's pretty much the inspiration of this video. I wanted to showcase just how good Pujols was in St. Louis and how he was able to still perform and produce in LA, as well as show off what else he's accomplished throughout his storied career. I love Albert Pujols, and you should too. But before he could suit up on a major league field, his career began where most do, in the minor leagues. Pujols would begin his professional career in 2000 at the Single-A level. By the end of that season, he'd been promoted to Triple-A in order to help their playoff push, and promptly helped them capture the championship while taking home postseason MVP honors. As the 2001 season approached, an aging Mark McGwire told then Cardinals manager Tony La Russa that if he didn't promote Pujols to the opening day roster, quote, "It might be one of the worst moves you make in your career." Pujols not only made the opening day roster, but put together one of the most impressive rookie seasons in Major League Baseball history. Put together a .329, .403, .610 slash line to complement 37 home runs and 130 ribbies. His 130 RBI are the most by a National League rookie in the league's history. He unanimously took home the Rookie of the Year award in 2001, and that wouldn't be the first piece of hardware he'd collect over his career. Through his first 11 seasons in the major leagues, Pujols was putting up Hall of Fame-worthy numbers. He was averaging more than 40 doubles and 40 home runs every single year, while also driving in an average of 121 runs and scoring 117 of his own. For any normal player, that would be a career year, but for Albert Pujols, that's what was expected. He was one of the most feared hitters in the game, as well as one of the most effective run producers in baseball history. Through those first 11 seasons, Pujols finished in the top 10 of the MVP voting every year, winning it 3 times and coming in second an additional 4 times. He also led the Cardinals to 3 World Series appearances, winning a pair of rings in 2006 and 2011. It looked like the sky was the limit for Pujols. He was not only a phenomenal hitter, but a proven leader and winner. After 11 full seasons in the major leagues, Pujols had collected over 2,000 hits, belted 445 home runs, driven in over 1,300 runs, had an OPS at 1037, an OPS plus of 170, all while averaging 155 games a season. His Cardinals career alone could have probably gotten him induction into the Hall of Fame. His 86.6 WAR through the first 11 seasons of his career would have placed him 32nd all-time, and he wasn't even 32 years old yet. He was an established veteran in 2011, and after winning his second World Series ring, Pujols became a free agent. After a bidding war with the Cardinals, the Los Angeles Angels eventually signed Pujols to a 10-year, $240 million contract in an effort to provide their franchise with an extra spark. After an initial solid season in LA, Father Time would eventually catch up with Pujols, and a slow demise would begin. Pujols' career in Los Angeles hasn't lived up to expectations he set for himself in St. Louis, but to say that he's been a bust in LA would be wrong. In his 9 seasons as an Angel, Pujols has put up a 761 OPS with an OPS plus of 109, while mashing 217 homers and driving in 771 runs. While those aren't as eye-popping as his Cardinals numbers, they're still very solid. Statistically, he's an above-average hitter and player for the Angels, racking up a 13.9 WAR over his 9 seasons in LA. As I mentioned earlier, most of the time we hear about Pujols nowadays is when he passes some baseball legend on some all-time leaderboards list. He not only leads all active players in just about every offensive category, but is also at the top of most career leaderboards, sandwiched right in there with the immortals of the game. It's no secret that Albert Pujols is a surefire Hall of Famer. First ballot, not even a question. But I don't think people appreciate just how durable and productive he's been through the 20 years he's terrorized the league. Let's take a look at some of the ridiculous numbers he put up throughout his career. According to Baseball Reference, he's played in the 16th most games in baseball history, come up to the plate 13th most in baseball history, and collected the 15th most hits in the history of baseball, and counting. He's 5th on the all-time doubles list with 669, 5th on the all-time home runs list with 662, and 5th on the total bases list with 5,923. The 2,100 RBI he's driven in are 3rd behind only Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron. His 312 intentional walks are 2nd behind only Barry Bonds. If you want to look at him from a WAR perspective, his 100.6 WAR is the 20th most in the history of Major League Baseball. The list goes on and on. If you look at the top of any hitting statistical leaderboard, you're likely to see Pujols' name up there. In addition to his phenomenal regular season performance, Pujols is also one of the best postseason hitters in baseball history. Across 77 postseason games, he's slashed .323, .431, .599, with 19 homers and 54 ribbies. Oh, and in case you were wondering, yeah, he's near the top of most of those leaderboards too. In Game 3 of the 2011 World Series, Pujols became just the 3rd player ever to blast 3 dingers in a World Series game, joining Babe Ruth and Reggie Jackson, while later welcoming Pablo Sandoval to the club. While being a consistent producer, Pujols joined one of the most elite clubs in the history of baseball. He's one of just 3 players with over 600 home runs, 3,000 hits, and 2,000 RBI, sharing the honor with Hank Aaron and Alex Rodriguez. We tend to think of Hall of Fame players as immortals, and only focus on the positives in their careers. As time passes, the negatives are forgotten about, and their spectacular play is all that we remember about them. I wanted to make this to remind the world how good Albert Pujols was, and still is, and don't want his legacy to be ruined by a couple of bad years later on in his career. Albert Pujols has always been one of my favorite players, and I'm fortunate that I got to see him play. I also can't wait to hear his induction speech when he's enshrined in Cooperstown.